Hello, viewers. This is Attorney Gehi, and welcome to the Zoom show. And today, this show is also going to be available to our viewers on Facebook and on YouTube. And the good news is that every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., we are going to have a show on Zoom. So, how is Zoom going to help us is something that I want to explain our viewers because this is the first time, we are doing a Zoom show. Now, how does it benefit you and how can we make Green Card with Gehi a success? So the easy way to understand Zoom is that, it's very simple. You don't have to have an account with Zoom. And what will happen is that you're going to get our link on Facebook. And at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on a Friday, you can actually just zoom in into the program. And once if you zoom in into the program, you'll be able to ask your questions and answers. And we'd be happy to kind of make sure that, you can kind of come and join us. And there'll be a question and answer session, especially what you will need from your end is just a computer. And if you have an audio, we're also going to allow you to actually kind of, add questions and talk about everything. And that's the plan of having this Zoom video. And also there's a chat box over there. And what we're going to do is we're also going to unpause people. So like wherein you'll also be allowed to talk and you'll be allowed to basically kind of, we'll be able to take your questions, and there's a lot that can be done through Zoom. Now, it's more like an interactive model wherein we talk about things and get your question and answers, ready. So that what happens is that if you have questions, we can answer you and take it from there. So today we are going to talk about something very important on Zoom is about the changes because of COVID 2019. So changes in immigration law because of COVID 2019 is a topic for the day, is our topic for today. So I've been getting a lot of calls about what is happening with COVID. First and foremost, there were a lot of calls from people who have RFEs. RFEs means request for evidence, and they have to make sure that they reply to it. So now, if you have received an RFE, and for example, it's a notice of intent to deny, or it's a request for evidence for an H-1B, you have to make sure that you mail it out on time. And yes, of course, they may be given, immigration will give us some leeway for 60 days, from March 15th onwards. But my warm recommendation is just make sure that you send it out soon, especially because later on, if you're going to do it, the officers may be very much backed up, and it may take a very long time for you to actually get your query answered or get a decision from immigration. So first and foremost, make sure that you respond to the query as soon as possible. And like for example, our law firm is functioning remotely, and we've been helping a lot of people to respond to the RFEs, especially if you applied for your case on your own, or if your attorney is not available at this time. So that's one thing I would say is it's about RFEs. Now, second important thing about COVID 2019 is critically important. This applies to people who have come into this country on a visitor's visa, or they are in a catch-22 situation, particularly because they're stuck over here, they cannot even go back. So what can you do if you are in that situation? Uh, what we've done for people who are in this situation, we have applied for the extension of the visas. So as I said, a lot of clients, for example, they called us and we asked them what the issue was. Some of them said that I just have 1 month left on my visa. So what do we do here? We get in touch with them. We make sure that we complete the file. And the good thing is that immigration is recognizing electronic signatures at this time as a temporary measure. So if you are in that situation wherein you have to kind of send your B2 extension out, we can take care of that, or we can prepare the entire package and we can mail it out for you. So that's rule number 2. And rule number 3 is critically important. It's meant for people who are on an H-1B and who are getting laid off. What are your options? It's a very sad situation. If you're an H-1B and if you get laid off, the very first thing is that you have 60 days to change your status or do something about your status. And if you're in that situation, you need to either change your employer, number 1, or you can extend your status into another category if you find another employer, change your status to another employer, or change it into a visitor visa. That's what we've been doing for people. And or change it into a student visa. So those may be some of your options. Now, the other question about COVID 2019 is that we are getting a lot of queries from people at info@gehilaw.com. That's our famous website, info@gehilaw.com, wherein people are asking us that, Mr. Gehi, what's going to happen to my fingerprinting? The good news is that your biometrics that were with immigration in the past will be taken into consideration. So therefore, you don't have to kind of get into that issue wherein exactly you have to do your biometrics again. So the good news is that you won't have to do your biometrics again, and you should be in pretty good shape. So that helps a lot, especially for people who had their biometrics taken in the past. So if you had your biometrics taken in the past, this is kind of a blessing for you that you don't have to worry about the biometrics. Now let's come to another factor about COVID 2019, which is very important. And now this applies to people who actually are in that situation who have the interview scheduled. So those interviews will be adjourned in most instances. And so that may be something that that is a sigh of relief for the time being, especially for people like who've been wondering about what's going on with their cases. The other factor which is critically important is to know what's Donald Trump doing about immigration. And the bigger concern today was that what is the 60-day rule that is coming up from immigration? The 60-day rule is something that I would say it was not even required by the current administration. This is because what Trump is trying to say is that we are going to halt green card holders, like whose cases are pending right now. And these are people who are in the pipeline for receiving their green cards, and they're in this queue. And he's saying that they will have to wait for 60 days. With due respect, I don't see any meaning to this rule. It's a very, very absurd rule. And I strongly believe that this executive order should be kind of completely kind of basically thrown in the gutters, especially because it doesn't make any sense in that regard. So these are some of the pressing issues that we are facing during COVID. Now, a few things. What should most people who are in situations do, and if they are having matters before the immigration court? Now, if you have a case before the immigration court, it is very important for you to make sure that an attorney handles your case, especially because when you're dealing with immigration court, you're dealing with kind of very complicated issues out here. So what you can do is either you can request for an adjournment before the court, which I would strongly recommend in these cases, or if you have your hearing coming up, or if you want to change your status, or change the venue of your case, my apologies, if you want to change the venue of your case from one state to another, it becomes very important for you to make sure that you change your venue. So the change of venue can be accomplished by filing a motion, and if the motion is kind of filed properly, then after that, there's a very strong likelihood that the judge may grant your immigration relief for the motion to change venue. So we've covered a lot of ground so far. Now let's also talk about one other pressing issue, which is very important. And also the good news about this program is that you can ask your questions after some time. After I finish, I'm going to pinpoint particularly after I'm done that yes, you may ask your questions now, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Or you can use the chat feature, which is open right now, and you can kind of type your message here, and I'll be happy to kind of answer your questions if required. And I know it's the first day, so we don't expect a lot of people here, but eventually I think as the message spreads, I can assure you will be inundated with a lot of chats and with a lot of calls. And the good thing about this program is it's going to be an interactive show amongst us. And as I said, I love you all, my friends. We'll keep it very friendly. We'll keep it very professional. We'll make sure that we all talk, and we basically try to make sure that we have a good kind of understanding as to what's going on in the country. Now, one very important pressing issue. Let's get back to H-1B workers and what can they do? Now, there was a question from an H-1B worker who said that, Mr. Gehi, currently I used to work for a company. Now I used to work in a physical location, but the location of the company is currently closed. And right now I'm working from home, which is very close to my company, I respectfully state that you should not be impacted a whole lot with this, particularly because the good news for you is that you're right within that same area of intended employment. And if you're within that particular area, then I mean, there's nothing for you to worry about. Now, who should worry about it? Firstly, there's a rule that under the H-1B laws, that if you're out of your location for 60 days, you're fine. So that's a sigh of relief right there. That's a silver lining in the regulation. But what should you do if you're permanently out from your company? For example, your physical location was New York, but now you move to another state, California. What should you do? In this instance, you have 60 days, but after that, you can file for an amended H-1B petition stating that you'll be working from your house in California. So that's exactly how the H-1B situation should work out, especially in COVID-19 cases. So if you have any questions, we're always available. We are still helping a lot of people remotely, and we've been actually starting a lot of cases remotely. And our phone number is 718-263-5999. And our email address is info@gehilaw.com. The instant program constitutes an attorney advertisement under the laws of the state of New York. And if you have any questions, we're opening the floor for the next 2 minutes to see if people have questions. Are there any questions here? You can either put it up on a chat message or you can ask me at the stage. So we don't see any questions right now for the timing. So I would prefer that people can email us the questions. And remember, we're going to have the show every Wednesday, and it's very easy. You do not need a Zoom account. What you need to do is just press the link at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday, and we'll be taking live question and answers. This is like me being on TV and trying to help you out with your questions that you may have in connection with your immigration matters. And as always, our phone number is 718-263-5999, and we have 3 locations, and we service people from all over the United States and the world. Even if you're watching this program from a foreign country, welcome. You can ask us your questions on Zoom. So this is the beauty of this link. You might be sitting in the UK. You just have to press the link at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get your questions answered. And after watching this show, if you're going to watch this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Instagram, if you're watching this on Twitter, if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure to call us at 718-263-5999. And we are functional during COVID and helping people remotely at the stage, especially for clients, not only from New York, from all over the United States. So this is Attorney Gehi. We'll be back again next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. for a live show. So keep yourself tuned on Zoom.